Thank you for joining us for our Be Relentless webinar on this Thursday. Hope you are looking forward, many of you, to a long weekend, but there's still lots to do before the weekend begins, and that's part of our Business Development Week. We've had a lot of interesting presentations about building your sphere of influence, and yesterday we talked about handling objections that might be new to you in this time, and the things that you can say. Another really important part of this are your finances. We know that the government is offering lots of help, but you may be needing to turn inside yourself and organize things from your financial standpoint. And Kevin Cochran from Enriched Academy joins us again. He was here in our last Be Relentless webinar series, and he got great feedback, and so we wanted to bring him back to talk about a slightly different topic. Kevin, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I know that this is a really tough time financially for people, so giving people some sort of direction into the things they should be thinking about, the plans they can start to put in place that are going to pay off down the road.
Yeah, so what we're going to do really today is we're going to really focus on budgeting. I think, last time we talked about because some people are taking advantage of this market because you do look at stocks are, 40 to 50% off, in a lot of cases up to 70 to 80%. But I think what we're going to do a little more of a defense strategy and budgeting. And I'm going to provide everybody a tool here today that will, it's actually about $50 worth of value what we sell at our program. So I'm going to give everybody access to that as well here today at the end.
Wonderful. I'll let you take it away. I do want to note that when you turn your head sideways, we're losing your audio a little bit. So just keep that in mind. When you're straight on, it is going well. So I will turn it over to you. Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And interesting enough, obviously, because of what's going on, we're doing more webinars than ever before. So I actually have a work crew in my office right now painting and putting signage up, and we're really changing it into a studio, which is why I'm kind of, as many people are working from home, I'm working out of my dining room here today. So it's all the mics will be set up for next week, which is or later on tomorrow actually. But anyways, welcome everybody. For those of you that I got some great compliments after the first webinar that we did last week. Last month, and you know what, thank you very much for those, and hopefully we can add some value here today as well. I'm gonna take the next 30 minutes and just go through talking about what's going on with COVID. I will repeat a little bit of what we talked about last week, and then we'll jump into budgeting, and I know people like budgeting. I've heard this a million times, but at the end of the day, as I've mentioned to you before, this is a time now more than ever that we do need to budget and understand that two people can have your money, either you or somebody else. So it's better to try to keep as much of the money as you can to yourself. Let's talk about the reality of what's going on really quickly, just kind of set the stage for the rest of the talk. Clearly we have an issue here that we've never seen before. You look at unemployment is, I read an article this morning at 3 million in the United States alone. And this graph in the bottom left corner shows you what unemployment rates have been in the United States for the last 40 years. It never got over really 700,000, and now we're at 3 million overnight, which is unreal. Like, something like that has never, ever happened. So it's a scary time for a lot of people that we've all talked about before. This will test all of us. I get it. People are stressed out because, you look at your cash reserves are slowly starting to dwindle. We don't know when this is really going to be finished. We think that, things are slowly opening up. But how fast will customers react? How fast are they going to come back into the market? Clearly, those are issues. People are losing jobs, and, will they qualify for a mortgage? 2 months ago, they would have, maybe not now. But again, these are just realities of the situation. You're not alone. A lot of people are going through that. I do find this interesting, and I hope people, I don't know, just not appreciate, it's not the right word, but just understand, we're actually living, like, we're creating history here. In 100 years, when we're all gone, when our great-grandchildren go to school and talk in economics class, they're going to be talking about the pandemic of 2020 and how it collapsed the market. This is going to be in history books. This is going to be in economic books. They're going to talk about this, which is kind of crazy, and it's kind of cool. We're living it. You will have to make tough decisions and make sacrifices. Everybody is right now. You're not alone when that happens, and this isn't something that in 2 weeks you're going to turn it on. We're going to go back to normal.
Can I just step in for a moment, please? I think you're trying to share your screen, but it hasn't happened just yet.
Oh, okay.
You
Hold on
referred
one
a couple
second.
of times to on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, but all we see is you.
Okay, hold on one second here, and I will go to sharing. Hold on. I'm trying to see where it says to share my screen. Hold on. Let me make this bigger and see. Oh, there we go. If I share it, and then if I go like this. Okay.
Yep,
Can you see my
that's
screen now?
working much better. Thank you. We can see your screen. The reality of the situation is what we see right now.
Okay, great. No worries at all. I just want to make sure that, okay, great. So we could do is talk about, I just talked about all this stuff, which is great. Won't get better in 2 weeks. So I just want people to realize you're not alone. Okay. So this is something that we are dealing with. The question is, what are you going to do about it? So again, as I said, just stay calm. That's one of the most important things. You know, customers can smell on your breath when you need to make money. It's called commission breath. We got to realize that, this is something that is affecting millions of people all around the world, not just here in Canada. People wondering, can I put food on the table? Can I, put a roof over my head? Can I keep eating? Blah, blah, blah. And I get it, man. Those are real issues that people are going through right now. But again, you got to realize you're not alone. I think misery likes company. I've heard that before, and I really believe that is the case. So again, you're not alone. This is going to come. This is just like everything else. It's happening. I look at, this is testing all of our stress muscles, if that makes sense. And every decade or so, the world goes through something that we've never seen before. Okay, it wasn't long ago. It was 12 years ago, back in 2008, when the worlds were, the financial institutions have been around for hundreds of years, over 100 years, were shutting down overnight. Like, they ran out of money, and that tested all of us. People thought the whole world, like, we're going to go back to the barter system and use gold as currency. Again, that wasn't the case. 8-9 years before that, we had planes crashing into World Trade Centers, and everybody thought the whole world was going to go at war. And that freaked everybody out, because as humans, when we are exposed to something we've never been before, that stress I look at as a muscle. And right now we're testing a new muscle, a pandemic muscle that we've never seen before. If something like in 2001 happened again, forbid that ever does, but I think people would react a little less calm, because like, oh, I've seen this before, I've been through this, and so they react a little differently. This is something nobody's ever seen before, and that's why I think everybody's panicking, because we don't know what the outcome looks like. We don't have any idea what's going to happen. So just realize you're not alone. The next is this: manage every dollar you have. We're going to talk about budgeting. That is critical now. We got to manage budgeting more than ever before. Limit the amount of news you watch. Man, if you make time, like I'm telling you right now, don't watch the news before you go to bed, and don't watch the news when you wake up, especially don't watch local news. Any news you want to know about this coronavirus is understanding what the world death toll, Canada's death toll. You don't want to know like the local story where there's this person that ran a marathon, 4 months ago, and now they're on life support. Like, that doesn't make you feel good. You're going to be like, oh man, that could be me. Like, why would you put that in your head? It doesn't make sense. It just poison, right? You will not be in a better situation a year from now if you take time to watch the news every single day. I promise you that. The next thing is, my chat box in front of it, is what are you going to look like coming out of this? And the fact that if anybody here is watching, you're going to take a look at it and go, what am I going to look like coming out of this situation? Right now you're taking a proactive approach towards budgeting. So again, this is a great time to look at what do I need to do to come out of this when the floodgates do open? Are you prospecting every day? Are you filling up that funnel? Right? Are you managing your budget? Are you lowering your overhead? Are you doing everything possible to come out of this thing strong? Right? Panicking will not get you in a better situation. And bottom line, we're going to get through this. Just like everything else, people never thought we'd get through, like a financial crisis of 2008, like World Trade Centers going down. All this stuff, we get through it, right? Human beings were relentless. But again, just you got to realize, just stay calm. We're going to talk about a good defense. Number one, I've talked about this before, and I'll say it again. Make sure, bottom line, that you're looking at every dollar you are spending: credit card, line of credit, mortgage, cars. Prioritize your payments. If you're going to go into debt, make sure you pay off your high interest debt fastest. It's one thing to be in debt coming out of this thing, is another thing to be in debt at 20% interest, right? It makes no sense whatsoever. If you come out of this with $5,000 worth of credit card debt and think you're going to pay that credit card off with minimum payments in 2 or 3 years, it's not. It's going to take 50 years to pay off a $5,000 credit card bill at 20% interest. So borrow money from a family, revert to line of credits or home equity line of credits. If you've got to borrow money, go for the lowest interest debt as possible. Cut your spending by 30% minimum. You can't spend your money on anything right now anyways. 30 to 50% cut your spending, right? Look at your resources. Like, if you've eaten food and it's not, if you have leftovers after eating dinner, save it, right? That stuff adds up. You don't need it, don't spend it, right? Turn off the lights. If you're not in the room, turn down the heat. If you bought something and you haven't used it, return it. It is critical to know that. We know that governments right across the country are really showing up, trying to provide a ton of support. Let's just be clear, you know, somebody's going to pay the piper for this down the road, man. We are going to spend a lot of money down the road to pay off all this money that we're lending to everybody. But, you know, Canada does have the coronavirus financial support system. If you Google it, you can click on the link and it'll provide you with all the resources you need to make sure that you do get some government funding if you qualify for it. What we're going to talk about quickly here is just learning how to manage your money properly. And now more than ever, if I've heard the word budget, you want to know why I don't like to use the word budget? Is that whenever you say budget, I think it really turns people off. They're like, this is going to be boring. I don't want to hear this. I've heard it. I get budget, budget, budget. But the reality is it works. You can't argue the point, right? You know, you would never invest into any company in the stock market if they didn't budget. You know, they don't guess what their numbers are. They know what their numbers are. And you got to treat your own business. You got to treat your own home like a business. You got to know the money going in and coming out. And if you don't, well, how do you know if you're winning or losing? How do you know if you're saving money or not? And this is probably in our coaching program, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable exercise that we do is budgeting, because the average person that we budget saves an average of $800 a month. They had no idea. I was talking to somebody yesterday that took this budget tool we're going to go through, and he saved $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year. He goes, Kev, I had no idea I was spending that much money on going off for dinner. He goes, it just, when you drag spending over 30 days, it just doesn't seem like a lot because it's here and there, but that adds up. Why we need to budget, bottom line, it helps you live below your means. Number 2 is key to financial freedom. Number 3 is it eliminates debt and maximize investing potential. And number 4, it makes goals become a reality. Again, this is just tracking and monitoring. It's no different than tracking and monitoring your dials if you're with the Richard Robbins coaching program or any of the other ones. They want you to track your dials, contacts, and sales ratios. This is exactly the same thing, is contact all that information. I love this quote by Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey said this: a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. So why tracking is important: you become 42% more likely to achieve your goals by writing them down. The average person that we work with in our coaching program saves an average of $803.90 a month by us helping the budget. Our all-time record is 40,000. That's a one-off, but it is pretty cool. Imagine somebody spending 40,000 more than they knew every year, and they had no idea, and we help them by budgeting. So activities that we're going to talk about is, number 1, if you're watching right now, I want you to write down on a piece of paper how much money you think you're spending every month. Like, what do you think you spend? 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, 10,000? What do you think? You'd be surprised. Most people have no idea, which makes no sense. Think about it. You don't know where your money is going. You have no idea how much you spend every month. That's insanity, right? Absolutely insanity. So we're going to break down how your spending works in 3 different categories. And then again, we'll provide this tool for everybody if you want to use it. It's a great tool. 4 steps to taking control of your budget mastery. So number 1 is this: when you get this tool, I want you to open it up, and there's really going to be a bunch of ways that we're going to analyze your money. So here's the thing, and I'm going to break this down from section to section. This is what the budget tool will look like when you open it up. The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to type in all the income that you have coming in, right? So let's just say if you have a monthly employment or business income of $3,200, or what your average commission is, if you have any interest or dividends coming in from stock, rental income, Airbnb, any type of retirement, child support, child benefit, type it all down, and then we'll auto-calculate at the bottom, right? Which is great. In this case, we just made it simple at $3,200. The next thing you want to do, and I do this every 3 months, is you want to enter your expenses. So what I ask people that are watching right now is to get 3 different color highlighters. You want to get whatever colors you want, but 3 different colors. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to print out all your credit card slips. You're going to print out all your bank or credit union account information. And you're going to print it out, and you're going to have it in front of you. And what you're going to do is you're going to highlight each purchase you make, and each highlighter represents a different category. I'm going to break these categories down. So some will be in yellow, some in green, some in red. In this example, what we did. So here's how we break down these 3 categories. Number 1 are fixed expense categories. These are expenses that don't change month to month. So what are the expenses? Like mortgage, condo fees, internet, cable, home phone, cell phone, maybe gym memberships, stuff like that don't change. So you're going to type down what your expense. My mortgage every month is $1,200. I've got $50 a month in internet. I've got $50 in cell phone, $12 in online Netflix or whatever it may be, $35 for alarm, $100 for transit pass, $15 for bank fees. So as you add it all in, The first step, remember, you're going to type what your income is. So it's going to calculate what your income is. And then on a monthly basis, and then it auto calculates on a yearly in another chart. What it's going to start doing is it takes what you make and it's going to start subtracting. These are fixed costs right here, right? These are fixed costs. They're not going anywhere. The next thing, with a different color highlighter, you're going to go through all your credit card slips and all your bank credit union slips, and you're going to highlight your variable expenses. These are things that, you know, change on a month-to-month basis, so they're harder to calculate. Something, if you're not paying off your credit card in full, that could be credit card interest, gas, obviously, or heat. You look at it and go, man, you know what? Gas tends to be a little lower in the summertime because you're not heating your house as much. You've got alcohol, probably drinking a little more now due to COVID, but you know, cigarettes, lottery, parking, Uber, you know, all these things are variable expenses. But what you want to do over the last 3 months is average out what you're spending on each. So now you have a better idea of where this money is going. The next thing you want to do with the third highlighter is you want to highlight any irregular expenses. These are expenses that don't happen very often. So these could be something like, I'm going on vacation, so I spent $5,000 last month to go on vacation. Or, you know, could be something like a wedding. I spent $200 on a wedding gift, or $500 on a wedding gift. Sports, school expenses that come. These are vet expense. These are irregular expenses. So you're going to type in what you spent there. So now you have an idea of what you're bringing in. Now you have an idea of dividing it into the 3 categories: variable, fixed, and irregular. And now what it's going to do is going to auto calculate, and it's going to start helping you figure out where that money is going and how much money you have left over at the end of the month. You see this corner up here that I'm going to circle? See, while you type in all your information here on the left, it's going to auto calculate what you make monthly. It's going to figure out what you make annually, and it's going to start subtracting all your expenses. So it's going to tell you what you have remaining here and here. So now you're going to realize, are you ahead of the game? Are you behind the game? And believe it or not, as I said, the average person we work with saves $800 a month in spending because of this next step, which we're going to talk about, is the goal section. So what you're going to do is say, okay, currently I am spending, let's use this as an example, on variable expenses, I am spending $800 a month dining out at restaurants and coffees and so forth. My goal is to get it down to $500 a month. So I don't need to go out for coffee every day, whatever it may be. And as you do that, it's going to tell you where you are, as I said, up in the top left corner, what you've spent. It's going to tell you what your expenses are, what you left over. And then what it's going to do is track. You'll see a tab in the bottom corner saying budget tracking. And I'm telling you, this tool is phenomenal. We've got so many compliments. I've never seen a tool this simple with this many kind of, that gets so, it's very in-depth, but it's very simple. That's what people love about it so much. You don't need a 5-year degree at Harvard to understand it. And then what it's going to do is going to track where your monthly is versus what your income is versus minus your expenses. And it's also every single day it'll track it. But on top of that is it's going to also figure out, are you on pace to hit your goal or not? It's a very simple tool to use. It's so simple. And again, anybody watching will get a copy of this tool, which is great. These are best practices and tips to make sure that the budget tool works properly. Number one is you want to make sure you track this daily, if possible, weekly. I do it every month or two. I think daily, weekly is a bit aggressive, but again, if you really want to take this to the next level and you want to get your money, under control, you may want to look at that. Oh, sorry about that. Keep all of your receipts and debit, credit cards, and cash transactions. Of course, you know that, just for taxes. And use an app program if needed, just to make sure that you can review it once a month. There's a ton of great apps out there that can complement this budget tracking tool if you want to use it. Tips and tricks of saving money. I know this is crazy or not, but you know what? Call your current utility provider. My gosh, you know what? If you're spending $70, $80 a month on a cell phone bill, you'd be surprised if you called and said, listen, I'm going to change to your competitor because I don't really like the price I'm getting. You'd be shocked how many times they'll say, okay, we'll deduct you by $15 or $20 a month. And you look at that and go, that's $240 a year. Simple there. You know what? Make dining out a treat. Can't really dine out right now anyways, but when things kick back into high gear, again, just limit the amount that you do go out for dinner. Go to the discount section of the grocery store. You know what? I don't personally do that often, but I did notice something caught my eye last week, and I saw that Starbucks coffee was on sale, like the what are they called? The little capsule ones that go into the coffee machine. They're Starbucks. They're French roast. They're 50% off. Bought a bunch of them. Like instead of $20, $10. Why wouldn't I? Right? And you'd be surprised how many things that you would want are on sale there. Biker or walk as much as you can. Again, what a great time to go out and get a ton of exercise right now anyways. The next is make your coffee at home. Can you do the math at $2 a coffee every single day? I know you probably heard this time and time and time again. $2 times that by 5, that's 2 times 5, $2 times 5, that's $10. $10 is $40 a month. Times that by it's $480 a year. There's $480 right there just before you know it in spending in coffee. Again, you want to limit that. The next is you want to cut your bank fees. You know what? You'd be surprised if you call your Visa or MasterCard or whatever credit card you have, and they have that annual membership of $140. Remember, that's not where Visa makes their money. They make their money by charging them the merchant 2 or 3% merchant fee. This is just like the cherry on top. If you call and say, listen, I don't want to pay it anymore, I'm going to cancel this credit card, they'll be like, okay, no, don't worry. We won't charge you that annual membership fee anymore. If you love books, get a library card, download books, or you can do that as well. Get rid of cable. I'm telling you, or home phone right there. Like, you know what? We had a home phone forever. It took my wife a bit of time to get comfortable with canceling our home phone. I said, listen, our daughter has a cell phone. We have a cell phone. There's 3 phones in the house. We don't need a home phone. And that there was $40 a month. There's $480 there. Like, it's so easy. And what you have to realize, it's 480 compounding year after year after year after year. Next thing you know, after 2 years, it's $1,000, right? What can $1,000? There's a nice weekend away somewhere, right? Locally. Sell unwanted stuff. Again, if you're not using it, sell it right now. Why are you keeping hold of it? Why are you keeping hold of it? It makes no sense. And always buy used. You know what? I just bought a mountain bike and a brand new. I saw it. It was $1,200. I bought it used for $650, right? Oop. There is my Poker Stars game popping up there for later on. Sorry about that. Or play poker. Have some fun with your friends playing poker. It's $5 a game. Buy used. I'm telling you right now. I've always said this, and I say it over and over again. Buy used when it comes to cars. Buy used when it comes to everything. I bought my mountain bike for $650 versus $1,200. Like the bike was 2 years old. Right now, why would I not want to say $500? I don't care if the bike's brand new. The first time I go out, it's going to look used anyways. Right, so that's what I'm trying to get at. This is what you should be looking at. This is, and people go, I don't want to act cheap. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. You know what? Honestly, you know what wealthy people are? They're ninjas. They don't look rich, right? They're not the ones driving the fanciest cars. They're not the ones living in the biggest homes. They don't have the newest stuff. They're the ones that they're the ones not worrying right now. And what I want people doing, and I really hope if you're listening here, is I want you to learn from what's going on in the marketplace right now. You know what? This has only been a couple months. I have a good friend of mine who's a real estate agent in the Markham area, and he's a little older, and he's been a mentor of mine for many, many years. And he said this to me, I'll never forget, he's 61. And he said this to me, and I'm 43. He said, this is 3 years ago. He goes, Kev, you have no idea what a recession is. He goes, do you think you do? Like, you don't. He goes, 2008 was a joke. He goes, and here in Canada it was at least. And he was right. He goes, Kevin, a recession is where people take an income decrease of 20 to 30% for 1 or 2 or 3 years. Not 4 or 5 months where in 2008 we had a hiccup here in Canada, but nothing crazy. This is what we're dealing with here in Canada. This is a recession, right? This is happening. This is real, right? And I'm telling you right now is that I look at the amount of calls I'm getting from real estate agents right now, which is a lot. They're saying, man, I wish I didn't buy that car in January. I had another car that I had paid off. I didn't need to upgrade it. I bought a home a year ago. I upgraded my home. I didn't really need to do that. And again, what you want to do, the secret to running the most effective, profitable business in the world is try to keep your personal expenses as low as possible. Try to keep that overhead low. Again, I go on great vacations. I do great things with my life, but you know what? I always pull back on that. When I go to a concert, it's front row. Those tickets are usually $2,000-$3,000 a piece. I'm not saying that's impressive. I told you about a used mountain bike. I'm not trying to impress anybody here. What I'm trying to say is that those other expenses, those concerts, those vacations, I can always say, I'm not doing it anymore because I don't know what's going on. I can cut back. I don't have a monthly fixed payment. People go, what kind of car I drive? I drive a 2010 Ford F-150 pickup with 210,000 kilometers. I do that, but I'm not worried about it making a car payment right now. It's the greatest feeling in the world. The world's in trouble right now, and you know what? Everybody's dealing with their own challenges. I've lost money in the market. Everybody has. I'm by far perfect here. But I'll tell you right now, the one thing I'm just not worried about a bunch of monthly payments, and that is the best feeling in the world, right? And I've said this time and time and time again, learn from this, because there is no car, there is no vacation, there is no home that you can buy for yourself that will feel better than waking up in the morning and not worrying about money. That is a sustainable feeling. A car you buy, it's like a firework. You go, boom, it goes off, and then it kind of sizzles off. You buy any new car you buy today will feel like the same one you're driving right now 3 months after you buy it. right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy homes. I own a ton of real estate, but the main home I own is the least valued home that I have. I own a ton of real estate because a lot of real estate agents go, you say, shouldn't buy real estate? Yeah, buy a ton of it, but most of it should be income producing real estate, investment properties. That's what I'm trying to say. This is the time right now to reflect on your business. What do you have so that, and I'm going to be clear, what's going on right now is scary. In 2008, it was scary. In 2001, it's scary. And if you're watching right now and you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, and honestly in your 50s, and you think you have another 20 years in this business, 10 or 20, I'm going to tell you something that you may or may not want to know, but you're going to find out anyways. We're going to go through something else in 10 years from now that we've never seen before. It's going to happen. I don't know what it could be. I don't know. Nobody, and there's nobody that can predict it, right? That's the whole thing. Nobody sees this stuff coming. There is no, nobody has that crystal ball, okay? So that's what I'm trying to get at. Learn from the lesson, keep your costs low, fill that funnel full of leads, and then when we come out of this thing, try to keep your overhead as low as possible. That's 5 or 10 years when the next thing that we never saw coming that freaks everybody out, you're fully prepared for it. Other than that, last thing I'll just talk about right now is, you know what, if you're trying to find ways to save some money, number one, buy cheap, buy a cheaper car. I'm telling you, that's life-changing. It is. The car is just such a cash, just eats all your cash up. Number two is take a good hard look at your life insurance. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it. You should have life insurance. Are you overpaying on it? Do you have life insurance that you really shouldn't have, right? Are you overpaying? And the amount of money that we've saved in people in life insurance, and I don't sell life insurance. I'm telling you, a lot of people are overpaying on life insurance that don't need to. Get rid of some of those extended warranties. It'll cost you thousands of dollars. Watch the investment fees. You should be looking at everything you're paying your financial advisor and the mutual fund and the brokerage they work for and say, man, am I paying too much to my advisor and all that? Eat less meat. Listen, I like eating meat. I eat it all the time. It's great, but it is expensive. There's no doubt about it. Maybe convert to eating meat 2 days less a week. You'd be surprised how much money you'd save there. Maybe look at refinancing your mortgage because rates are so low. No reason to focus on a vacation right now because you can't go anywhere. Grow a garden. This one's interesting. Organize your own pantry. Honestly, the amount of money people spend when they go to a grocery store because they're hungry and they buy things they didn't really need and they didn't really organize. Again, create a grocery list. You'll save tons of money there, and shop out of season. If you're looking for next season because you need a new winter jacket because your jacket's completely not going to make it another season, this is the best time to buy it. It's 40 or 50% off. So other than that, that's really what I can say. As I said, the budget now more than ever before, prospect on the phone, learn from this lesson, realize it's going to happen again so that when this happens in 10 years, maybe you have 1 or 2 investment properties under your belt so that are creating income for you so that you know what, you're not freaking out over what's going on right now because it's going to happen again. No big deal, but learn from the lesson. You can go from there. There you go, Leah.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin. That was a whirlwind of content for us. One of the questions that I had as you were going through things is how often should you be revisiting this stuff? It's one thing to just go through and do the budget, but should you be doing this monthly? Should it be a quarterly thing or an annual thing?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, there's no one size that fits all. I do it every 3 months, right? Because I've got a pretty tight budget system going on right now. But again, every 3 months. But you know what? If you're kind of learning and kicking this thing off, you probably want to do it on a month-to-month basis, just to understand where that money is going. But then as you get into the groove of it, I think every month-to-month is not necessary. Every 3 months, and you do the math on this, right? Think about this: we spend 40 hours a week at work, right? Times that by that's 200 hours a month. Times that by 3 months, that's 600 hours. 600 hours every 3 months that we work, roughly, not including commuting back and forth from work. That's 40 hours a week, not including commuting. So you look at it and go, you know what? Every 3 months, I'm asking you to spend 30 minutes to do this. You spend 600 hours learning how to make this money, missing family events, dealing with those customers that you don't want to deal with, all that nonsense that you have to go through. You spend 600 hours doing that. Spend 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes every 3 months to learn where that money's going. It's so negligible compared to the amount of time you put to making the money.
A lot of people have asked, where can they get this information? You kept saying, we're going to provide this to you. Where can people go to get this app?
You know what, Leah, if you want, I can email it to you. You can get it out to your group if that works for you.
Sure. We can send that out in News 21 in the next couple of weeks. And I know that a lot of people will be looking for that link in the days to come. I'm not seeing any other questions from people today. So thank you very much, Kevin. We really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Sorry about the late intro. It's been crazy. No problem.
Thank you so much. And everyone, we will be back here tomorrow. We have some of our Century 21 masterminds. Some of the people great at business development will be joining us. Geneva Tatro, Vanessa O'Kogan, and Max Carbone will be Chiyoko Kakino's guests on our mastermind session. So please join us to talk about business planning and what you need to be doing right now as things get wound up again. We will be here at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for our Friday session. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.